Denmark is Europe's most expensive country. Consumer prices in Denmark are 43% above the EU average, and that is absolutely brutal. If you're tired of watching your paycheck disappear into this Danish cost of living machine, it's time to get strategic. And this is not about clipping Netto coupons. In this channel, we focus on high leverage moves. We're talking about changes that can save you 60 to 80,000 krona annually. And 2026 happens to be the best year in a decade to start making these moves. If you're new here, my name is Mario, and on this channel I help people living in Denmark to achieve financial independence. I teach how to invest, I teach how to save money, and how to live a great and rich life. Before we get into specifics, something massive just happened. In January 2026, Denmark cut the electricity tax by 99%. This means that before you used to pay 90 euros, so that's almost 1 krona per kilowatt hour, and now you will pay 1 euro, so it's basically 1 cent. Just again per kilowatt hour. For a typical family, this means almost 4,000 krona per year saved automatically without you doing anything. Now, what almost nobody's talking is that some electricity providers are sneaking fees to compensate or to take advantage of this situation. So the first thing you need to do now is go and check your electricity bill and see whether your electricity provider has added any new fees. If they did, call them and ask them to remove the fee, or again, you can easily switch electricity provider. If you go to elpris.dk, and it takes just 5 minutes, you can actually check whether your provider is one of the ones adding fees or not. And again, it's something that definitely don't let yourself be taken advantage of. But now let's move into the real high leverage moves. And the first one is housing. Renting in Denmark is borderline crazy. It is very, very expensive, especially in Copenhagen, especially if you want a full flat for yourself, for your family, and you want to live in a nice location. So unless you get a very good rent control deal or public housing, which I expect that most people watching this video will not, you almost always are better off owning your place than renting. And this comes in two ways. Number one, in terms of cash flow. Yes, interest rates have gone up to 4%-ish versus 1% in the old glory days before, but still the monthly cost of owning a house versus renting are in most cases, and for a lot of people, still better. Just in terms of cash flow, you will end up having more money in your pocket by owning versus by renting. Again, depends on what loans you pick and so on. I have a lot of videos that explain this in detail, but just know that this is a thing. The second thing is that it's not only about saving money, it's about building money and building wealth. And this is that when you own your primary home in Denmark, the sale of this home, the moment you decide to sell it, is tax-free. And it's basically one of the few things in Denmark that is actually tax-free. Yes, they tax you like crazy when you own the place, but again, that is passed on to the rents as well. So, but once you basically have a house, imagine you bought it for 4 million and you now sell for 6 million. That is 2 million in gain goes straight to your pocket. You don't need to pay anything to the taxman. And that is basically the only one hack in the Danish system. And that's how most people in Denmark build wealth. They buy a house. Hopefully, when they have this house, they pay less than they would be even renting. And on top of that, they build wealth because the equity and the value of the house is going up. So that's absolutely the number one thing you should look into when you move to Denmark or when you want to start getting your finances in order in Denmark. Now, if you are not in the position to buy yet, if you are renting a place, there's one loophole you should be aware of. Properties that have been built before 1992 are subject to strict rent control. So for example, if you have a 70 square meter flat in Copenhagen, that should legally cost around 7,000 to 8,000 krona monthly. And if you see that for 15,000 in public portal or somewhere else, that means that you likely can get that reduced. Again, you can use services like Rent Hero and see if your specific property is eligible. So it has to be, again, buildings built before 1992. And if that's the case, you can press and get your rent reduced. The second high leverage move in Denmark is not to own a car. And I know I'll wrap some feathers here, but hear me out. Denmark has the most punishing car taxation in the world. A car that costs 350,000 krona in any other country would cost you 685,000 krona in Denmark after the registration tax, after the VAT. That's basically like insane. And then you add to that the 40,000 krona-ish in running costs. It's super, super, super expensive to own a car here. I can tell you my own personal story. I have been living in Copenhagen for over 10 years and I never owned a car. And I have a family, I have my wife, I have 2 kids. Sometimes we need a car and we rent one, but that maybe cost me 5,000 to 10,000 per year instead of 50,000 plus having to have money parked into a car. Many people might need a car, especially if you live outside Copenhagen or if you need to work and commute very far. But if you can avoid having a car, you basically save yourself a lot of money in Denmark, much more than in almost any other places. If you do need a car, remember there's something called a commuter hack, which is basically this transport tax deduction that gives you 2.28 krona per kilometer for commutes over 24 kilometers round trip. So whether you bike or drive or take the train, you can actually get this deduction in your taxes. I know of people earning 15,000 krona back annually because of this. So of course, if that's your case, if you do a long commute, check if you can use this deduction, and that can actually help pay again for the car. Housing and transport are normally the two biggest expenses for the normal family. Hence why I wanted to hammer the point on this. If you get your house in order and if you get your transportation in order, you can basically unlock a lot of money that you can use for other things. Tip number 3 is to work in a big company, because your employer choice dramatically impacts your expenses. And many people really undervalue this. For example, I work in Maersk in the city, and I get, as part of the perks of working in the company, gym that is in the office. I get breakfast, I get lunch, I get snacks, I get coffee, I get phone. You can get even more stuff than that. And that's basically thousands of krona monthly that I don't spend because I get this from my job. This is not a Maersk specific thing. When I used to work in Carlsberg, we got the same perks plus beer. And almost all of my friends that work in a Danish company, they get a lot of these perks. And if not, they get like 80% of those. So when job hunting, look into this as a total compensation, because sometimes it makes sense to get a lower salary with great benefits, because again, even though you need to pay something out of your salary for those benefits, at the end of the day, it will be less than if you had to actually pay it from yourself and pay the VAT and so on. There's one exception to all this, that is the company cars. So if you want to get a company car, it's a really bad deal for most people and most times, or not always, depends on your case, but that's a story for another time. Number 4 is the free money stack. And this is where small moves can add to real money. I spend, for example, myself around 180,000 krona per year on normal stuff. And with a simple stack of a few memberships, I get 2,000 to 3,000 of those, a lot of krona back annually without thinking about it. So for example, I use something called the Bank Norwegian Visa. This is a free card, a free credit card that basically gives you 0.5% cashback on any purchase, and also includes travel insurance. So basically, if you pay 50% of any trip with this card, you basically get travel insurance covered. That you save 800 krona of travel insurance. And at the same time, if you, again, while it's 0.5% is not a lot, you still get money back that you wouldn't have before. Then there's Lidl Plus, there's the Focus Training, there's the Coop membership. There's a whole video made about these different ways to save money that is going to be linked over here. Just know that between these different options, and I'll put them all down in the video description, you set them at once, you benefit for years, and again, at the end of the month, you'll have more money in your pocket, or you spend less than before. Even like, there's some things, for example, this Too Good To Go, where you can get these surprise packs for 20 to 45 krona and save yourself 200, 300 krona monthly in groceries. Again, many options, put it down in the video description and link to the other video. But just know these options here exist. Hack number 5 is to use the government free stuff. I mean, at the end of the day, the Danish government takes almost 50% of the economic activity in the country as taxes. And a lot of that comes back to the population. And using these services, it's not about being cheap, it's about making your money's worth. So for example, the big ticket items were, for example, for myself, I did my master's education in Denmark. And that was completely free. That's a university tuition in a top university with a master's degree in the Copenhagen Business School in my case, where I also even got free office space when I was like doing stuff there and doing my startups there. If you are a European citizen, the door is wide open, and again, it's free, completely free, and you save yourself thousands and hundreds of thousands versus other places. The second thing, though not government specific, but something you should know, is that you can get something called Suge for Shipping in Denmark. I made a whole video about it as well over here, that costs 400-ish per quarter and gives you massive discounts on dental, on glasses, on physio, on medicines as well if you need them. And for example, for myself, it pays for my kids' vaccinations if needed, the ones that are not part of the field system. This is a super good way to save money. But these are just some of the options. Again, if you have kids, there's so many things you can leverage also by having kids, from actually getting free money from the state by having kids, which of course it doesn't pay for the whole raising kids still, but still nice. Then the communities and the municipalities will give a lot of money back into, again, the society in terms of classes and clubs and things especially for families and kids. Sign up to all of them. And this goes from small little items as having an audiobook app that replaces Audible to get audiobooks for almost for free instead of having to actually pay for Audible, to, for example, getting money to get your kids like riding club subsidized. So crazy things like this that, again, It's all about being out and open and using these opportunities that, again, you pay with your own taxes. Number 6 is to avoid bank fees. And Danish banks just love having hidden fees. Each time that you use your Danish cards abroad, you pay 1.5% like extra fee if you have pay in euros, 2% if you pay in dollars. And if you travel a lot, that's basically like 1,000 krona per year just thrown into the garbage. So if that's your case, if you didn't know about this, you can use a Revolut card, you can use a Wise card, and it takes 5 minutes, and basically you eliminate these fees completely. I have used Revolut myself for over 10 years and basically stopped paying this 2% BS for almost anything I would use abroad. And given that I travel so much, hey, this actually makes a lot of sense. Number 7, I want to tell you about the investment trap that cost me basically a month's salary. And this is not only about saving money, it's about being strategic on your life in Denmark. I invested in ETFs, so exchange traded funds or these index funds, and I think that's still the right way to go. What I didn't understand that if I had a very good year and I had chosen specific funds that are taxed on unrealized gains, as many of them are in Denmark, I would just have to pay so much money. So I had a good year in 2024 of investments, and in 2025 basically had to spend my whole January salary paying for the gains of my investments, even if I didn't sell them. And I had not sold anything, but just a paper gain of the investments that went from here to there. I basically had to pay all that to SCAT, and it was a brutal bill. And the lesson for me was that what you invest also matters a lot, even as much as how much you invest. So always check in SCAT what are the taxations for the specific investments you will be doing. Because again, you can end up paying so much as I did that you can be in a really bad financial situation as I was for example, a whole month. Even if I knew about it, even if I made videos about investing, just be aware of that your choice of investment can really mean a lot in your cash flow. And if you want to hear more about investment and cash flow, check out this video over here where I go through my investment plan for 2026. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.